everybody, it's Travis, aka Mha Ccg here, and today I'm going to be doing my Kirishima 2 deck profile that I played to a 3rd place finish at the first ever Pro Hero Nationals for the My Hero Academia collectible card game. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So first off, I just want to start by showing this. This is the top 4 aggressive clash that I got for getting 3rd place. It's very cool looking. And huge shout outs to Jasco Games for making prizes that are just absolutely as breathtaking as this. I could not ask for more. Anyways, I'm going to start off with the attacks. I'm going to start with the 4 diffs. I played 3 Hardened Barrage and 3 Rapid Punches. So these are the Hardened Package Punches, affectionately known as Burn Ernie Punches by the great Jose Narono himself. These cards are pretty good. So Hardened Barrage lets you unflip a foundation when it deals damage to them, and then Rapid Punches lets you draw a card after it deals damage to them. And then they get speed or damage based on which one you have in the card pool. So for Rapid Punches, both of them get speed equal to how many you have of this in your card pool, and then the other one gives damage. So that's also very cool. So at a base, Rapid Punches is a 5 low for 6 if you use Kirishima on it, 5 low for 4 if you do not, which is pretty good. And it also cantrips, and we love attacks that cantrip based on the next one I'm about to show you. We play 4 Hardened Jab. This is arguably the best attack in the deck. The amount of times that you get to attack from your staging area, just with things that you built down, just kind of save for later using Kirishima's Enhance to destroy, build down, and draw a card. And then you can just pick up with Hardened Jab to have an extra attack for your attack string, or good foundations that you want to reset, like for example, Celebrity Status, Manly Passionate Guy is another really good one, Chivalrous. Chivalrous plus Hardened Jab is a free +2, because giving your opponent a card that they're going to see anyways, unless you're in a very late game scenario, really does not matter too much. Being able to reset Prehensile Tail is very good as well. Apathetic to flip your opponent's foundations. New Training Method is an extreme combo with this card, as it's just another free +2 basically as long as you check a foundation on your jab. And then obviously having a 1 high block is also very good. This card's basically a 2 diff in Kirishima 2 due to the fact that it resets a foundation and then your character also resets a foundation. 4 Back Alley Haymaker. This is arguably the best attack in the game right now, in my humble opinion. It's a charge EX2 punch with stun 2 that says enhance draw a card or build 1 foundation with a printed difficulty of 0 from your discard pile. This card does so much, from building the 0 diffs that matter in this deck, like It Can't Be Fixed for stun hate, Tight-Lipped for free damage pump, or Quick to Act for free speed pump, which was something that the Earth Symbol was really lacking, and also just being a finisher. This card having stun 2 and also EX2 just says that late game scenarios get really easy, and pretty easy to navigate, combined with things like pull no punches if your opponent is in deadlock to give it stun and 2 speed. On top of the stun 2 it already has, you can tap out wide boards very quickly. I'll show off some of the combos you can do with that card later. 4 Chop. Chop is a very generic card. It's just kind of free in this character. The way I like to think about Kirishima 2 is he gives all of the hardened cards -2 difficulty just by existing, because the hardened attacks both reset a foundation, whether it be Chop destroying a face down to get you another new face down, or Jab picking up a face down to get you another new face down. They're both essentially -2 difficulty as they ready 2 foundations. And then this card also pressures your opponent's hand because every time they want to block it, they have to discard 2 cards basically to block it, which means unless they have a huge hand or something like Passing the Torch or Struggling with Studies, they don't really get a block that often against this deck. Last but definitely not least, 2 Brutish Swagger. This might be one of my favorite attacks in the deck. It does so much for so little as a 5 diff. It's just a 4 mid for 6 that says if it's the only card in your card pool, you draw a card. And then if you've drawn 2 or more cards this combat phase, it gains stun 2, which, as it turns out, is very easy when your character draws a card and then Brutish Swagger also draws a card. So this card always has stun 2, basically no matter what. It also has a lot of insane combos that you can do with, like, Pull No Punches. Because if you play this as your second attack, let's say you draw into it off of Kirishima and you have a Pull No Punches, you can put the punch that's the first card in your card pool into your momentum, and then it still fulfills the condition for Brutish Swagger to draw you a card. And then, kind of a hot button card, hot button topic, Seizing the Advantage. After playing with this card, I think that maybe this interaction is a little overtuned. So for those that don't know, Seizing the Advantage is a 3 diff 5 check action that says form, your next attack gets +2 speed. So you can play this at any time you could play a form, being an attack or a foundation, asset, whatever. And then response card pool, after you play an attack, flip 1 rival foundation, build this card face down. So basically, it makes your jab into a 5 mid for 7, and then you can pick up your Seizing the Advantage to flip another one of your opponent's foundations on the next attack you play and also buff that attack by 2 speed. So, do I think that this character is going to get hit or nerfed, or this package is going to get hit or nerfed in some way? I do. Obviously, the amount of representation this character had was a little obscene. Even if he didn't end up winning the event, he's still extremely strong and maybe a little too good at playing the game, if I'm being brutally honest. Yeah, 3 Seizing. I didn't want to see this card all the time. I just wanted to see it enough to where it was like once every 3 turns I drew this card. Just so I had an answer to my opponent's problem foundations, aside from Apathetic. Because there are a few foundations that do kind of stop this deck or make this deck a little scared, so to speak. 3, it can't be fixed. So the deck was really tight on space, so I could not find space for a 4th It Can't Be Fixed. But it being a 0 diff with a 1 high block that's also really good stun hate and builds you when they stun you is pretty insane. This card kind of, I don't want to say it carries these 3 symbols, but it's definitely one of the best 0 diffs in the game. Because it really makes your opponent think, hey, if I stun them now, then they're going to always have that 1 extra foundation to play with for the rest of the game, which is very good. 3 Tight-Lipped. Tight-Lipped is just a very generic spam foundation with a really good block that sometimes helps you kill people, and that's good. We like that. Other than that, it doesn't really do much. Now, Quick to Act is probably the single best spam that Earth could have asked for. It's a 0 to 5 check that says enhance if your current health is less than half of your maximum health. This attack gets +1 speed. So when your opponent hits you for a bunch and they leave you alive, then this card just hard punishes them because it's a card you can build off a back alley haymaker first of all, so it's very stackable. Let's say you have 1 in your staging area and then you build another with back alley. That's free speed that you can just kind of mess with, and it's very strong. Now onto the 1 diffs. I play 2 Celebrity Status and 2 Forcing Surrender. Celebrity Status is a way for us to stack our momentum on top of our deck to draw with Kirishima or any of our other draw effects, which just guarantees that we have more attacks when we're going in and we need to kill. It's also a sick combo with Pull No Punches, which says put a punch from our card pool into our momentum, so we can put a punch from our card pool into our momentum, stack it with Celebrity Status, and then draw it with Kirishima. So basically just a way to get a free attack. And then Forcing Surrender, this was in here specifically for the Tokuyami and Momo matchups, because those matchups can be pretty hard for this deck. Generally, Tokuyami is pretty Kirishima favored, but if you let them have too much speed bump with their Summon Dark Shadows, then they will just overrun you. I love this card. It's also just a 2 low block in a symbol filled with 3 low blocks, which is definitely relevant and definitely did come up. Set these to the side. Speaking of speed hate, we played 2 Shock Absorption. This card's very good in this deck. I would not run more than 2, but the incidental speed hate when you choose to commit it as a resource, either during your turn or your opponent's turn when you pass a block. This card is basically 3 foundations, because after you commit it, you destroy it for -2 speed, and then it helps you pass another block, which came up all the time this weekend. 3 Manly Passionate Guy. This card I wanted to run out of 4 of, but I didn't have space. I didn't want to go above 66, because I think that is the benchmark for this deck. I think that is the actual highest count you would want to go, so you can still see all of your pieces but while having a bunch of options. But yeah, this card is very good. It lets us block with all of our good foundations that we want to see in our staging area that maybe we don't want to build during our turn, because this deck likes to get really aggressive, and you don't want to be playing a bunch of 2 diffs after you play 3 attacks to poke your opponent, because this deck very consistently can play 3 attacks as like a poke turn, basically, and then still build some foundations. So that's very helpful. Chivalrous Competitor. This card is insane. Flipping it to have both players draw a card is almost strictly a plus during your turn if you know that you're not actually going for the kill and the amount of cards in their hand doesn't matter. Either that or you're using it to dig for an attack when you know they can't block anything anyways. Because your opponent's going to see the card that you're drawing them anyways during their next turn. Because obviously they're going to draw back up to their hand size. So giving them that card now rarely ever actually matters. And then it also has card text that says you flip this instead of flipping something else when your opponent would flip your thing, which is relevant in the mirror match and basically any deck playing Seizing or Apathetic. Very good. MVP card. 100%. This is one of my favorite foundations in the deck. It's Petty Squabble. So for those that don't know what this does, it's a 2/5 with the 2 low block that says response once per turn. Discard 1 card. After your rival plays an ability on a foundation, commit 1 rival copy of that card. And then enhance, commit your character. Both players discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. I rarely ever use the bottom mode, but when I did, it came in pretty clutch. It also actually lost me a game because I got like giga-brained by Chris Smith. Shoutouts. He actually played 5D chess on me. But the first enhance, or the first ability on the card, being able to commit your opponent's spammable foundations that are problems. So like in the Kirishima mirror match, you get to commit Homage to My Hero when they use it. Or if they're in deadlock and they have multiple pull no punches, you can commit their pull no punches. Just basically allowing you to go to deadlock for free. Sorry. And yeah, this card's just very good. Or like Rescue Completed is another great example of this. Just being able to commit their only speed hate and then kind of delete them. It's very good. Prehensile Tail. This card was very good as well. It is a deadlock threat, giving any kick, punch, or slam attack 3 damage and throw, which is every attack in the deck, except for Brutish Swagger. Brutish Swagger is the only non-kick, punch, or slam attack for this card. And then Enhance Flip if you have 4 more face-down foundations, including this card. Add 1 momentum to your hand, or your rival discards 1 momentum. I was mostly using this to pick up a momentum, but there were a few matchups where discarding the momentum was relevant. I played against a few Ochako 1s, and also in the Kirishima mirror, discarding their momentum before they can tail it or celebrity status it back to their hand is also very relevant. 3-1 with nature. In retrospect, I would actually play Talented Baker over this card because the free spammable speed came in a lot more handy than discard for +2 to the block mod and then +1 damage. Just because the deck wants to basically play for free. Like, everything you want to do in this deck, it's all free. You don't want to have to spend resources for anything because a lot of the time, I found myself just going to like 15 foundations. Just like building as much as I possibly could, and then my opponent could never kill me because I would abuse my staging area, my twice per turn ready with Kirishima, my response to half block and attack rounded down. Like, everything's just so free. And honestly, I think that's part of what makes this character in this deck so broken, is everything's just too free. 3 Apathetic. This card is to flip Problem Foundations. That's really all it does. It's just enhance flip 1 Rival Foundation. This came up in a lot of matchups. I also sided it out sometimes because it is a 4-check, and we do side some 4-checks in specific matchups. The actual best card in the deck. New trading method. This card is absolutely insane. Between the interaction that it has with basically all of your attacks and Kirishima in general, getting you a free card most of the time, or a free cycle, just because flip commit is not a real cost when your character destroys it to give you a new ready foundation and draws you a new card. Also with Hardened Jab, being able to check a 5 on a jab, pick up the foundation you checked, then pick up the new training method so you can use it again next turn. Just, this card is infinite value, infinite advantage, and when you're going first, it lets you have these insane turn 1 builds, especially if you draw multiple. 4 Homage to My Hero. This is the freest damage bump in the game, especially in this character that just builds one for free. It says, response, commit after you dealt damage by an unblocked attack, draw a card. So when you use Kirishima's commit response, it's very good. It lets you draw free cards. Enhance, if you have built a foundation this attack phase, your Fury or Punch attack gets +1 damage. Your character builds a foundation. Most of your attacks build you a foundation. So this card is almost always active, and I'd be hard-pressed to find a time when it isn't. Last foundation in the deck before we get on the sideboard, I play 3 Pull No Punches. I think this is the perfect number for this card because you want to see as many of them as possible, but you also don't want to brick on it because it's a 3-diff. It says Enhance Destroy, add 1 punch attack from your card pool to your momentum, and then Deadlock Enhance, your punch attack gets +2 speed and gains stun 1. So having multiple of these on the board just basically says your opponent is not allowed to go to Deadlock, and I did that so many times this weekend. Even in like the Kirishima mirror, like I would just build the 15 foundations, flip all of their Deadlock threats, and then try to protect mine as like a win con. Because that's just like one of the best win cons, is going to 15 foundations. So that way you have a wide enough staging area to just do a huge multi-attack string. Because if your opponent sits at 10 foundations while you're building to 15, 20, then there's like an obvious resource disparity on like what you can do versus what your opponent can do with their cards. And then the sideboard, real quick. Let me grab it. I know, I should be more prepared. But, I play 3 Internship with Best Genist. I brought this in going second a lot for Tight-Lipped because it lets me flip my opponent's foundations after they build on their turn 1, and it's just a really good spam that fills our discard pile for Back Alley Haymaker, which is pretty good. 3 You're So Obvious. This came in specifically the Momo matchup and sometimes in the Kirishima mirror because a lot of the times resetting an attack to its printed damage and then halving it with Kirishima means that they just like can't ever kill you. So like for example, in my top 16 match against Jacob Johnson, shoutouts, I had 2 of these on board, and he just I was in deadlock. He had 3 quick creates built, and he was going to triple cannon me with deadlock quick creates, and he just couldn't because this card said no. You're not going to be able to double your stats effectively, which was very good. 2 face shield. Looking back at it, I sided this card like twice, and it could have definitely been better cards, like extra copies of Learning the Standards. This card was insane in almost all the matchups it came in. Against Tokuyami, this card just bought turns for free. And then against Momo, this card just said that they were never allowed to build their deadlock hate for me. So, like, if they would build a quick create during combat, I'd just respawn flip it. Which I have definitely, having played this card against Momo now, I have changed my general opinion on how useful it is against her. When I used to play Momo, I used to think that this card was not very good against me. But having seen the matchup knowledge now, it's insane. It's actually crazy against her. But yeah, so that was the deck profile. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and honestly, it was a blast. Shoutouts to Jasco Games, shoutouts to everyone who played at the event, shoutouts to everyone in top 32, and huge shoutouts to Barrett Bryant for winning the entire event, becoming our first place national champion, and the first one to ever do it, you know? That's like actually a huge accomplishment, and I'm so proud of him. But yeah, anyways, thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Go check out my Patreon where you can subscribe at the $10 level to get once a month coaching from me. I do help with deck techs, play patterns, technical stuff, all that kind of cool things and stuff. Sayonara, everybody. Mha Ccg signing out.
Hey yo, it's your boy Mha Ccg. Call me Go Beyond because I've always got you. Call me Tam because I card well. Call me Jacob, but there ain't no John, son. Call me Mister because you know I alliterate. Me and the boys, you know we keep it on fun. So like, comment, share, subscribe because this rhyme is done.